I'm first starting off by priming her skin using the M.A.C Fix Plus. She had already come with her skincare prepared, so I didn't want to do too much on top of it. And then I'm concealing and priming her eyes using a little bit of concealer and setting it with the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Smoothing Powder. This one is in the shade number 2. For her eyeshadow, I know I wanted to do something with greens because of her olive complexion, so I chose the most perfect palette for this look, the Anastasia Beverly Hills Fall Romance palette, which has beautiful, like, fall earthy tones in there. I'm taking the shades Thorn and Twilight and blending those on the crease to act as a backdrop. And then I'm taking the Sephora Collection Shadow Stick. This one's in the shade Army Green Matte. So I'm using this kind of like a base just because the green wasn't intense enough. So this is gonna act kind of like a base and a primer for the green eyeshadows I'm about to apply all over, which is essentially the same ones that I was using before. After blending all the eyeshadow, I'm just adding a little bit more intensity in the outer corner using Twilight on a big, dense brush. By choosing a dense brush, I'm getting more color payoff. I'm using my ring finger and picking up this beautiful metallic emerald green shade. This is actually from the Volume 1 palette with Morphe and Jaclyn Hill. I depotted it and put it in this palette. I'm blending it out using kind of like a fluffy tapered brush and then adding more intensity to that outer corner. To add a little bit more dimension and highlight, I'm tapping this olive green shade from the Master Metallics palette from Makeup by Mario. Then taking a fluffy brush and just blending everything together so that it kind of tapers nicely and it all marries together. I'm using a makeup wipe to clean up under her eyes and to sharpen up the eyeshadow. This actually kind of gives it more of that liner effect. And for her brows, I'm actually using eyeshadow just to fill in her brows. She already has pretty full, beautiful brows, so I didn't want to do anything too crazy for them since I knew that the eyeshadow was already going to be so intense. So I literally just ran like a brow gel through her brows, and now I'm just filling it with a little bit of eyeshadow. I'm taking the shade Crown from the Anastasia palette and running this through the outer third of the eye. This just brought so much more dimension to the eyeshadow. It looks stunning. I was obsessed. And of course, we're gonna continue filling in the brows. Aysha has such perfect skin, like beautiful skin. I didn't want to cover it up. I didn't want to do too much to it. So I'm using the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. It is super skin-like and it leaves the skin with this very healthy glow from within. I'm using a mixture of the Sephora Collection foundation brush and a beauty sponge to blend it all out onto her complexion. For her concealer, I'm using a little mixture of Creme Brulee and Nars Custard, the Nars Red Creamy Concealer. I'm using that to highlight under her eyes and then the center of the face, chin, and forehead. For her bronzer and contour, I'm using this Makeup Forever Pro Cream Palette. I'm using these two shades above to bronze and bring warmth onto her skin. And as you guys can see, I'm really blending out the bronzer. I don't like a harsh, very angular bronzer. I like more of a soft, diffused contour slash bronzer effect. So I'm using a fluffy brush to blend it out. And then I'm using the shade Love, which is a Rare Beauty liquid pigment on her cheeks. Reinforcing a little bit of the highlighter and also toning down the blush just a tiny bit because it was a little pigmented. And then I'm setting her under eyes using the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Smoothing Powder in the shade number 2. By the way, this powder is beautiful. It leaves the skin looking smooth, filtered, airbrushed, and it's so perfectly compacted as well. Like, it's such a great addition to like a makeup kit or a purse. It's also great for retouching, so as a makeup artist, this comes in very handy. I'm going over the contour using the Mineralized Skin Finish from M.A.C in the shade Dark Tan. When we applied the powder, it just faded the contour a little bit, so we're pretty much just bringing it back using a powder bronzer instead. To finish with the eyeshadow, I'm using the same shades that I used on the top lid, right in the bottom lash line. And I'm using the deeper shades in the outer third of the eye, and then taking Crown, which is the lighter shade, and using it in the inner third of the eye. Aysha has brown eyes, so the green is such a perfect complementary color to her eye shade. Taking the Hollywood Blush and Glow Glide palette from Charlotte Tilbury, I'm mixing the blush and the highlighter together and reinforcing the Rare Beauty liquid blush that we had in before underneath the eyes to add more of that sun-kissed look. I'm lining her eyes using the One Size liner and then applying some mascara to both top and bottom lashes. I'm also using Lily lashes in the style Beverly Hills, finishing off with some setting spray to set and to add more of that glow to the skin. And for her lips, I'm using the Huda Beauty lip pencil in the shade Pinky Brown, topping it off with the Sephora collection pencil. I'm so sorry, I do not know the shade name, but I will have it listed down below. Contouring her nose, and I'm done. Thank you, Aysha, for being my model for this. I had so much fun. If you guys enjoyed this video, of course, give it a like, comment, thumbs up. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, click down below, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.